All right, there we go. We got the live going. Let's give it a second here. So while the live is going, just again, just to kind of reiterate what Jesse had shared, being here tonight means a lot, and so we're thankful for the opportunity to share who we are, what we do, and to have two extremely successful veterans sharing their experience about being students, going through our program of Warrior Scholar Project, and then matriculating to Syracuse University. So before I run in and have them introduce themselves, I do have a quick presentation that I want to share. It's 3 slides, I promise. It won't be too long or painful, but I think it'll be good to just give you an overview of who we are, what we do, and then it sets up their conversation as to how Warrior Scholar Project has helped them prepare for their academic journey. All right, can everybody see my screen? All right, fantastic. One thing we offer are academic boot camps. Warrior Scholar Project offers academic boot camps that are 1 week long, and there's 3 particular curriculums: humanities, STEM, business, and entrepreneurship. Humanities really focuses on the fundamentals of academics, reading and writing, and we show you how to read text that's given to you in an academic setting and be able to then utilize that text to really have in-depth, thought-provoking academic writing. And that's what we teach you there. When it comes to STEM, we teach you how best to position yourself to learn the skills to be successful in a STEM curriculum and kind of introduce you to what it will be like to be in a STEM course. And the same goes for business and entrepreneurship. There's a group project that you're a part of, and you work with your fellow cohort members as you go through these different problem sets in the business track. And then on Friday, you present your findings from what you've worked on throughout the entire week. This is our website to apply to our program. I highly encourage you to apply. I did Warrior Scholar Project the summer before my senior year at the University of Miami, and that was my best academic year in my entire academic career. What I was able to accomplish my senior year was in large amount due to the fact that Warrior Scholar Project equipped me to be highly successful when I got to back on campus after that summer session. And we have 3 events that are upcoming. We have our Women Veterans Empowerment Dialogue with my cohort member, Faye, who is going to be leading a conversation around resiliency and trauma. May 8th, we have our Community College Success Workshop. That's a 4-hour workshop where we want to introduce you to what Warrior Scholar Project does and how we do it. And it gives you something to utilize right here, right now. So if any of you are in community college and you're going to be taking some classes over the summer, we want to give you some skills that'll carry you from now until our full 1-week boot camp. So we'll give you a quick and dirty, some skills you can put in your rucksack immediately and apply it to the course that you're currently taking, and allow you to have some skill sets going into our full 1-week boot camps. And then our 1-week boot camps are going to be running from June to August. If you go to our website, you'll be able to see all the dates as well as the host institutions that are providing these boot camps, that are supporting us in providing these boot camps. The other aspect is we have virtual. Some of our boot camps are going to be virtual, and some are going to be in person. I can tell you that no matter what you do, whether virtual or in person, the experience is going to be relatively the same from an academic standpoint. All of our programs are done live. You won't be death by PowerPoint, and you're going to be engaged for the entire week. So that is, I told you to be quick. 3 slides. I hope that worked. That wasn't too much. So now we're going to get into, I want to get into really having a chance to talk to our alumni who are here with us. And I'd like to ask them to introduce themselves. So quickly, branch of service, where'd you serve, what'd you do when you were in service, and what's your current field of study? What are you currently studying at Syracuse? So we'll start with Shay first. So Shay, if you could unmute yourself and just let us know.
Certainly. Hello, everyone. My name is Shay Rodriguez, and I've been in the Air Force for almost 5 years, still currently active duty. I'm currently stationed here in Maryland, and I have one deployment in my career. So far at Syracuse, I'm going to be a rising senior pretty soon, where I study knowledge management. So that's what my bachelor's degree is in. That's me.
Awesome, Shay. Thanks so much. Mike, if you could do the same, branch of service, and what you're currently studying over at Syracuse.
All right, hello guys. I was in the Army for 3.5 years as infantry, and I'm now studying information security management as a junior at Syracuse.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks so much. So to kick things off, I think what's really important, I think most people kind of see themselves and say, I can never go to a Syracuse. Like I was, I barely graduated high school. No one in my family has gone to college. Like, who am I to even think about that? So that's kind of like, I'm speaking from personal experience because I was terrible in high school, and neither of my parents went to college. So I was really kind of just, not sure if college was right for me. So I want to ask you, like, what was it like for you, high school and kind of this idea of college? Like, what did you think about college, before joining the military?
Derek, you're basically describing my situation when I started at the Syracuse cohort. None of my parents had gone to college. I think one of them graduated from high school. And going to a school like Syracuse was really scary. The process was new to me, and I didn't even know if it was possible. But through Warrior Scholar Project, we had a lot of teachers from there tell us that it was possible. So through that week, I credit my enrollment there through them. Awesome.
Mike?
Syracuse University. I'd say it was also incredibly daunting. Coming in as a first generation student, it was quite intimidating, but Warrior Scholar Project, those 7 days you spend there, 7 days sounds short, but you're going to be doing a ton of work, and you're going to come out feeling a lot more confident about what you can do academically.
Awesome. And so that's great, because you bring me to the kind of the next question in terms of, as you get ready to kind of go into Warrior Scholar Project, there's all these questions and am I capable? Is this right for me? Things of that nature. So the question that becomes is what about Warrior Scholar Project, right? Like if there was like one thing that you could point to from your experience during that week that was like, oh man, this was it. This was the bulb that went off for me that I can do this and I belong here. And I want to start with Mike this time to kind of get his take on, what was that moment for you during that 7 days that you're like, I think I could do this?
For me, really, it was one of the first papers. I think it was a 5-page paper we had to do, Shay, on Alexis de Tocqueville's criticism of American democracy. And oh my gosh, I had been up for hours. It was probably 2 a.m. because it was due like right in the morning. And at some point, I just started making connections between the rubric and the material that we were using, and the words just started coming. And you'll surprise yourself like that when you get out of your comfort zone and really engage in higher education.
Yeah, similar to Michael, my experience was towards the end where we had our final paper due. Once you submit it, you get a chance to get feedback from the professors who teach there. And through our one-on-one session, this professor who'd been at Syracuse for several years said, you know, although your essay has room for improvement, I see a lot of potential here. And having someone of, you know, that caliber compliment me that way, it really set me up for success, because I got a lot of confidence out of that.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's great. I mean, I think for me too, it was one of those things where uh, when I was sitting and the professors were taking notes of what we were talking about during our seminar, and saying, wow, I never heard this perspective before and how you're approaching this material. And I thought that was really telling. And it's like, oh man, maybe I can do this. Maybe I belong, at an institution like that. And so that was really, my takeaway was just kind of that encouragement. And I think that's really interesting because I'm curious as far as like, there's a couple things that and how the boot camp is structured, right? It's a week long. The curriculum is the curriculum, right? Especially like for humanities, we're talking specifically during this conversation. You're talking about democracy, citizenship, service. You have books like Alexis de Tocqueville, which before Warrior Scholar Project, never read anything that difficult. Never read anything of that depth, and then to be able to kind of like understand it. But along the way, you have your professors that come in and teach a seminar, and then you have your writing instructors who teach you how to write, and then you have your writing tutors, and there's this other person that's there, and that's the fellows. So what was your relationship like with the Warrior Scholar Project fellows? And to really quickly brief what a fellow is, to be a fellow in Warrior Scholar Project, you have to be an alumni of the program. So you have to have gone through one of our boot camps. And then B, you have to currently be a student veteran or a recent graduate, meaning the spring before the summer that you're a fellow is when you graduate. So you have a very recent experience of what it's like being a student veteran. So if you could just, and I'll ask either one of you, whoever wants to talk first about, your relationship, having the fellows there and what that kind of meant to your experience.
Incredibly diverse was my first takeaway. There's all, every branch is there, gender, race, career fields. You're exposed to just people from every corner of the service and just life in general. So getting to learn from these people was incredible. And I know that they've gone on to do incredible things as well. So the people there, yeah, you're going to get close after that 7 days there.
You really will. Yeah, going off of what Shay said, there's such a diversity of the fellows that you're definitely going to find one that you can connect with. And they're essentially like a beacon of hope to you. Like here they are, this example of someone who has traveled through your journey that you have set in front of yourself, and they've basically made it. And who better to get advice from?
Awesome. And so now that we're kind of thinking through, right, we've got over the hump of figuring out, okay, I can do this, to then experiencing and being exposed to you actually doing it through one of our academic boot camps and having that support system along the way for that 7 days. What was that experience like after the Warrior Scholar Project program ended and then you showed up at Syracuse University? What was that experience like?
And someone like that.
Go ahead, Michael. You can take this one first.
I'll be honest, and thank you, Shay. I'll be honest, it was a lot more easy than Warrior Scholar Project. I'll be completely honest. Warrior Scholar Project was like the heaviest resistance training for higher education I could have possibly hoped for, because the workload was just significantly lower, and the skills that we were equipped with during Warrior Scholar Project were just phenomenal. You'll see your peers aren't really honestly performing on the same level as you are, as long as you keep with the standards that Warrior Scholar.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to add on to what Michael said, The first day you get there, you have like a stack of books half your height, and they're like, yeah, if you're not in class, you're probably going to be staying for office hours to do some studying and getting feedback on your essays. So after you go through 7 days of that, actual class isn't so bad. It's like walking around with weights. Once you do it for real, it's no big deal.
All right, awesome, awesome. And so I'm curious, and I want to kind of, and you two have two very different experiences, right? Being students at Syracuse University and student veterans at Syracuse University. Shay, you mentioned that you're currently still on active duty in the Air Force, and so I think for anybody who's kind of in this similar boat as you, if you could just talk about, tuition assistance and that whole process and going to school primarily online, like what is that experience like, man, like being able to balance a Syracuse University education along with your military responsibilities?
Absolutely. Syracuse made it really easy to go or attend from a financial standpoint because they work with your TA. So each class, by the end of the year, you get about 6 classes out of Syracuse through your annual TA. So that was really nice. And they're also open with scholarships, which made it easy for me to afford it. But from a course load standpoint, at first it was a little jarring trying to juggle both my active duty responsibilities and completing my assignments on time. But after the first semester, I mean, just doing homework during my lunch hour, or, taking a few extra, hours after work to complete X project, I think it's manageable even while active duty.
Okay, great. So Mike, what has your experience been like, as a veteran, right, no longer serving, making that transition, right, out of active duty into higher ed? Just share kind of what that experience was like for you, kind of making that transition, and then what your experience being at Syracuse University afforded you, right, in terms of the type of culture that Syracuse has on campus.
Project gives you. I'll say that, going from active duty to being a full-time student, that essentially becomes your job, is going to class and doing homework. And with a GI Bill, which is wonderful, you get paid just to do what most people would go deeply in debt to do. So with that as your only responsibility, really, to make money, it's amazing. It's really great, honestly. The culture at Syracuse University is very, very inclusive. They're very willing to accept you, no matter what kind of background you're from. And I mean, I think there's really any kind of person that you could hope to meet at Syracuse University. There's 15,000 students. You have a wealth of options to surround yourself with positive influences.
And let me ask you, in terms of being a veteran, being on campus, and working with traditional students, right? I know, for me, like I obviously look older, right? You still look young. Both of you still look like you could be traditional students. However, I showed up to campus with a bigger freedom beard. But in terms of just your experience in engaging with traditional students, what has that experience been like? Because I know I had apprehensions, like, how am I going to relate to my classmates, when literally some of them are as old as my daughter, right, so to speak. So there was a big, age gap between myself and my classmates. But I found it to be extremely fulfilling. Just, they were so open to learning and engaging and, being friends. Like, it was just really, really cool experience for me. So I just kind of want to get your take on your traditional age students and what those relationships are like, there with you and your contemporaries.
Building connections with my peers and my classmates wasn't all that difficult because most of them are also active duty or veterans, and so they understand. They have, and Syracuse had, like I said, has all the branches there, so you kind of exchange stories or compare experiences. And so the peers or classmates that I have who aren't military affiliated are very friendly. They love to just talk about what it's like to serve, and I've had no complaints with any of them.
Yes, and I'd say that there is that apprehension. It is a bit worrying that maybe you're not going to mesh socially with other students if they're traditional students. But you will have orientations when you begin your semester, your first semester, and it's really during those that I've built a lot of my connections because there's no rigorous coursework in an orientation class. You're just doing little activities to get to know one another. And from there, once you've, met 3 or 4 people, it just starts to branch out and you start to make new friends that they know, and it just goes from there.
Awesome. Awesome. So the other question I have is in terms of, if there's one thing that you wish you had known that you've learned now, right? I wish I would have known this. I'm thankful that I know it now, but man, would it have been nice to know it before, right? If you could just share what that learning lesson is for those who are having a chance to see this session.
Go ahead, Michael. You can go first.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Shay. I would say I would have applied for a lot more scholarships because here's the thing. I have one scholarship and the GI Bill covers you completely. You're fine. But every scholarship that you apply for and you get after on top of the GI Bill, you get that back as a refund. And that's amazing. That's free money. I would say apply for every scholarship you can, reach for any scholarship that you could be applicable to.
Yeah, I would suggest just having more confidence early on that you do belong at a place like Syracuse, because early in my military career, I just thought, oh man, these schools just aren't for me, or they will never take me. So I wish that I would have, like Michael said, applied sooner and spoken to these representatives earlier.
Got it. Yeah, it's really important. I think one thing too, some folks aren't aware of with the GI Bill. I know I was completely clueless when I got out that the GI Bill is 36 months, and I was like, that's only 3 years, but college is 4 years long. Not realizing that it's 36 academic months, and if you, there's really only 8 academic months a year. So the other, 4 months of the year, unless you're going to summer school, you're not going to get paid that BAH from your GI Bill. So that's something to consider. So what Michael's talking about is really important because yes, you get that refund when you have those scholarships and things of that nature. And that's money that can carry you through your summer months when you're not actively getting the BAH. They could also help carry you through an internship that might not be paid, right? Even though we all want a paid internship or a research project. If you're, into research, some of them are paid, some of them aren't. And so if you're, able to get these scholarships, kind of build yourself a little bit of a nest egg. Come May, when spring semester ends, you're not scrambling for a part-time job or something like that to help pay ends meet to carry you through the summer or the winter months. So Mike, that's really, really important. And to Shay's point, start early, as early as possible, in terms of, reaching out to the university, getting involved, putting yourself out there, having the confidence that you belong and that people actually want to listen to you. Like you have something to offer, which is, like I said, my experience during Warrior Scholar Project was seeing, here are these professors that have years and years of tenure who have, poured over the material that we're talking about. And they were taking notes because they hadn't heard my perspective before. And they haven't heard the perspectives of veterans like me, right? Which I was just blown away by. I was like, wow, like this is when you talk about, lifelong learning, they were just the living, breathing examples of that. So, I definitely want to, kind of wrap up this portion of the session. That way we can kind of pause the video and stuff and go to a Q&A, because I really want a lot of the folks who've taken the time to be with us to ask you some poignant questions and have those concerns addressed. So the last bit of advice, if you're an active duty person going to school, online, if you're a student veteran, that transition, right? What are some bumps to kind of keep your eyes open for? I think might be very helpful. So, Mike, if you have a bump that you were that tripped you up that you weren't expecting when you got out, and just kind of give a little bit of advice to the folks who are here tonight, that'd be super helpful.
Housing is something extremely important for you to consider. And with all of the busyness that goes on with ETS, or if you're still active duty, if you're still active duty, I guess it's not much of a problem, but housing is something you really need to consider, because tuition, like, yes, you get the housing stipend, but especially at schools like Syracuse University, housing is expensive. So you really want to look at your finances. You really want to talk to the bursar office and financial aid, because you do not want to get that messed up. I almost ran into that issue, and it would have been very bad for my academic performance.
Thanks, Mike. Shay, for our active duty folks who are trying to be hard chargers like you, what's some advice that you have for them as they kind of begin their academic journey while still on active duty?
Definitely participate in the Warrior Scholar Project. I was active duty when I participated. I took some leave, and I got so much out of it. So talk to your command and show them the slides. I'll talk to them if you'd like, and just try to get that week of time off so you can come and participate.
Thanks, Shay. The check's in the mail, Shay. That was an awesome plug. I appreciate it. Hey, listen, first of all, they're volunteering their time to do this talk, okay? So we'll be clear on that, right? But for those who are on our Facebook Live feed, thank you so much for peeking and learning more about what we got going on. Everybody else who's here in the Zoom with us, hang tight. Let me shut down the live feed, and then we will go ahead and stop the recording.